Hello, and welcome to the Fantasy Gaming Draft 2017 results show. You've got myself, Apps, here, and I'm joined by the team captains of Mr. Hall and Sir Dave. Gents, how are we doing?
Good, thank you.
Excellent. Mr. Hall?
Wonderful, thank you, sir. Long time no speak.
Yeah, it's been a little while since having the pair of you on, but people might be saying, actually, the year's not up. Why are you
Too
doing
long,
it?
if
Well,
anything.
I agree with that, but as per your technical skills earlier, trying to get this call up and running took 20 minutes, so I don't think we've got the patience to do it more than every 6 months. But we are aware this is a little bit earlier than probably what people anticipated, but the championship is all but over, and it is over unless something miraculous happens. So Dave was happy enough to concede at where we were, on the understanding that Red Dead Redemption certainly won't be released this side of the year, which would probably be the only thing that would save the Marvellous Thunderbuzzards from certain defeat. So let's get that out of the way with. Mr. Hall, you are the champion for this year. You and your team achievements, have won the Fantasy Gaming Draft. First of all, how does that feel? Because you was on the bottom end of a drilling last year.
Well, thanks for that.
It's just tainted that, hasn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say.
We're taking the edge off.
You didn't finish last, but you didn't win.
No, which is basically last. It's a bit of a hollow victory, really, this year.
What's
The
that?
thing is
Dave just not any competition? Is that what you just thought?
Fight.
It's over early, and I feel a bit bad because Red Dead 2, although obviously there is another game that has cost as well, but I feel like Red Dead 2 could have been picked by
anyone,
either team, other than you were the only person to not include it because you obviously had the foresight to realise that Rockstar are dog shit at getting their games out on time.
Yes.
But the other 7 or 8 of us, or whatever it is, 9 of us have all fucked it. So, yeah, a bit of a hollow victory, really, to walk away with it. I'll take it.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong.
We can call it a draw. I'm happy with that.
You still fucked it with your other one, so
Yeah,
we will still take the win. But yeah, a bit of a hollow one, especially when you look and there's been certain games that we've missed out that have absolutely smashed it.
Yeah.
And you look back at how well we could have done compared to how well everyone did, and in reality, we did terribly.
Yeah, that is unfortunately always the way, and there's me punching my mic, getting overexcited. Let's just run through, first of all, Lappers, we'll go through your team and the members and also some of the games you had on there. So just for those that don't know, the final scores were Team Achievements 825.46 and the Marvellous Thunderbuzzards 65502. Team Achievements had a full 10-game roster, and unfortunately the Marvellous Thunderbuzzards, as of today, have only got 8 games, although we may have one of those titles coming very late this year. But it was not going to be enough even if it got 100%, which is why we are in this position. So, Lapdog, you chose myself, Logan and Pyre. Any regrets, or are you happy generally with the personnel that you chose for this operation?
I think the personnel is spot on. I think the picks from the team members are pretty solid. Some exceptional ones in there. So it definitely came down to my 2 choices. So I can't really fault anyone there except myself for picking 2 no-shows, really.
Yeah, and like we said, I think your number 1 pick was Red Dead Redemption 2. Didn't come out. I think Hall hit the nail on the head. Anyone else could have ended up with that. Had you not got it in that first round of picks, someone else would have ended up with it. So I think that was a slightly unfortunate one.
I think I worked out based on the order of the team picks that I probably would have got it off my second team member choice, because you obviously didn't have it. I don't think it was in the top 2 choices from Hall's first pick, so I think I would have ended up with it anyway. But I did pick it, so blame rests firmly at my feet for that one.
Yeah, well, it can't be helped. Sometimes shit happens. You had me as your first pick. I picked the Mass Effect Andromeda, which we assumed was going to do gangbusters, and ended up with a 7.85.
Yeah. Flopped.
Yeah, really. Well, I'm not, after playing it, I'm not surprised, but going into it, disappointing.
No one saw that coming. That was in everyone's top top 3 again, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's the second bottom scorer by the look of it, just scanning down the list.
Yeah,
Which
it
is
is.
frankly frightening.
Yeah.
Yes, that a game of that stature can perform that badly critically. Yeah, that was a stinger because I was, trying to do you proud, and then for your first pick to blow it with a 71.85 wasn't ideal. Steady Logan, I mean, probably the most boring of the team members. He picked COD and FIFA, but FIFA 18, the thing that cost FIFA 18 it would have been in the mid 80s or low 80s, but the Switch version got fucking slammed by certain members of the public, and it went down to a 77.06. So, your first 3 games, you're not yielding anything over 80, you're going to be struggling. Piper, probably the surprise package, I would say.
He went very safe. He went very sensible with his picks, I feel.
I'm not even sure if they're safe, though. They're sensible. I think the word sensible is right. Logan's gone safe, FIFA and COD.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Out. But Piper had the foresight to look at Mario Kart 8 and think, well, that done well on
Wii U
on the Wii U. And
on the DS, yeah.
Let's see what the port does, and it came out of a 92.39. So, sensational, really, from him. My next pick was Persona 5, which got us back on track. That's a 93.36.
And that drew a lot of gasps when you picked that one, didn't it? I think no one had really heard of that one, and it's come out with a 93.36. That was a great choice.
That's that research. That's that embedded
Did your homework.
research. Did the homework into the Japanese market and plucked that one out.
Yeah.
Logan, Call of Duty World at War 80. So, can't fault. It's coming out. If you need to make up the numbers, that's definitely one to put on there. Piper went for Splatoon 2 next, 82.84. Not a terrible score, but I was actually expecting that to score a little bit higher.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I'm just looking at what Splatoon 1 did.
Yeah.
Because I think that number 2 for me was definitely an improvement on number 1. Yeah, number 1 got 81.94, so it's only gone up 1%, which I feel is a little bit harsh considering all things. Considering that one is, I think, a more complete game. It's definitely got a little bit more to it, but yeah, maybe I was expecting sort of high 80s for it. Like I say, that's good picking from Piper though. You can't really fault him for those 2.
No, he's done a good job, and actually gone for the Nintendo route, which you tried last year, and it ended up not being very successful.
Blew it for me last year, yeah.
And this year they've got themselves back on track with the new hardware and with the Switch, so kind of turned a corner there. I don't know what next year will hold. It doesn't seem like there's an awful lot coming, but we'll have to see on that. Then we got into the captain picks, which was For Honor for Sir Dave. So Dave, you actually played this game, and I think generally the 76.59, I don't know whether you think that's high or low, but you traded it pretty shortly after purchasing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a completely fair score. And I remember when the reviews first came out, it was sort of low to mid 80s, which is it kind of reflects how I felt about the game when it came out. I really enjoyed it, and then within about 2 weeks, I thought, well, this hasn't got the legs to do a lot more. And then the score started to plummet a bit after that. Yeah,
a bit of a shame. South Park: The Fractured Butthole. I think that's good picking at a number 9 to get that. There was a worry, there's a wobble. We didn't think it was going to come out because they delayed it. Then all the digital pre-order bonuses got cancelled on the PlayStation Store, and I was thinking, oh dear, are we going to have another no-show? But they made it out this fall, and it came out at an 80.93. Again, I thought that might kick on a little bit more.
Yeah, but it's interesting because it's funny how these scores differ, because on console, well, on Xbox at least, it's 84.25, but then the PC crowd, it's 77.2. So there's quite a variation there in how it was received on the different platforms.
Yeah, just for those that want to know or care, these numbers I'm reading out are averages if there's more than one platform. So I took the average of each of those. And to be honest, some of the newer games that have come out, there's reviews ticking over, even stuff for like Mario Odyssey is ticking over still somehow, so they are changing very, very slightly, but you have to kind of just draw a line in the sand and say, well, this is the score we're going to give it, and it ends up not being too much of an issue anyway. Final pick, and something that still might come out, which would kind of, I think, absolve you from most responsibility, would be if Sky was to come out. Now, Sky was That Next... what are they called? That Next...
They're called That Game Company.
That Game Company.
Coined That Next Game.
That's it. And we got a reveal of it, didn't we? And it's going to be an iOS exclusive to start with, timed.
Yeah, which wasn't known when I picked it, I should add. But I seem to remember, just as we were coming up to do the draft, there was a bit of chatter about this one, so I thought I'd take a take a stab at that, take a punt on that one, yeah. And then quite recently it's come up again actually, and they've announced it's iOS only for a limited exclusive period.
Yes.
Lovely.
That might still make it out this year, but yeah, I'm not sure how well it will be received given that exclusivity.
No, I think out of all of them, we looked at that list and the ones that you'd picked, that next game, or Sky as we now know it's called, was the one that everyone was like, "What is he playing at here?"
It was the Risk, wasn't it?
It wasn't even an announced game. It was just an announced that we're doing we're doing
The
something.
moment I uttered it, I knew I'd made a mistake because your reaction was just a bit hesitant. Oh, why is he gonna do that?
Yeah, I was not. I was just shocked. So I was like, "This is just get a safe one in," and it came out with that. And I had to go and Google it, and then I saw they were advertising for jobs within the development team, and I was like, I "Still need people in." But if it comes out, then more for me. It would be a great kind of positive way to end it if it somehow makes it out between now and the end of the year. So maybe we'll keep an eye on that and tweet it out if it does finally arrive. So that was the Marvelous Thunderbuzzers. That was the team as per the picks and the team members what they went for. Hall, you was actually given the choice of first game, so you was always sort of on the back foot with your choice of personnel, but you ended up with Adkins, Chappers and Biff.
Yeah.
Any complaints or happy with those guys? I mean, you won at the end of the day, so you can't really fault the guys, I guess.
Initially, there was definitely a bit of hesitation because some of the
Biff.
Well, overall, three of them with the games they were throwing out. There was a few on the list that weren't on mine.
Yeah.
In reality, Biff's two that made my team were actually the only two, I think, out of the ones that were picked by the guys that were on my list of 10. So, if anything, Biff's done me proud in that sense. But all three of them actually smashed it out of the park with their picks in comparison to me. I mean, the lowest performer for any of them was only like high 70s, and I did considerably worse than that with some of mine. So, yeah, they've done all right, all things considered.
Yes.
Worthy winners.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you was gifted, not gifted, but you was given the opportunity to have the first game pick, and I think we was talking about the big three. It was Mass Effect, it was Red Dead Redemption 2, and it was Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. You stuck with your Nintendo guns and went for the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and it got an absolutely storming score.
Yeah, it really paid off, that did. It's a fucking awesome game, though, to be fair. Like, it's a spectacularly good title. It was always going to do well because it's a typical sort of Nintendo big name game.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to do quite as well as it did, but like I say, having played it, I can understand why it's received the rating that it did.
Yeah, Lappers, you've played it. You kind of went through like quite a slapdash, I'd say. Quick, sort of got through it quickly. Unlike me, who spent months on it. Worthy of that score, or could you maybe point other criticism and say maybe not?
Oh, I thought it was tremendous. Yeah, I bought a Switch just to play it.
Yeah.
Played it. Didn't buy a lot else and then sold the Switch. But yeah, loved the game. Really good. Really good. Well deserving of that score.
Absolutely. Adkins was your first member to be picked, and he chose Cuphead, which you're now breaking various instruments around the house trying to complete, Hall.
Yeah.
In the end, I think the only worry was whether it was going to come out from my perspective, but I did think that this would score strongly.
Yeah.
And you got yourself an 87-3-1, so...
Yeah, it's a great game. Good pick. It wasn't one that I'd heard of before. Kind of came out of nowhere, but then it received a lot of media attention, especially in the States. Like just before release, a lot of the late night chat show hosts were doing sort of YouTube videos of them playing it with their guests and bits and pieces purely because of the infuriating nature of it. It was obviously one that's quite good to play with people. But yeah, great game. Good score. Pleased with that. Good pick from Adkins.
Absolutely. Chappers went in with something I hadn't heard of, which was Pyre. And it's done all right in the end, 82-65, and seemed like something quite unique, actually.
Yeah, again, it was one of those ones that when the name was floated out, I think I'd heard of that at least, but I didn't really know much about it. But that was another one that we had a sort of question mark about its release for a short period, just where there was emails floating around about the delay of it and whatever. But yeah, it came out 82.6, can't really moan. That's solid as you're going to get, I suppose.
Yeah, Biff then rounded out the first kind of round of picks for your team with Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. Tried and tested, gonna score 80s, got mid 80s, perhaps could have got higher, but it was a spin-off DLC, and I think overall no real complaints about that. It's a good spin-off and a great version of that game. Adkins then went for NBA 2K18, which was a little bit lower than probably what I was expecting. I don't know, 77.96, not a terrible score, but you're looking for 80s where possible.
And I think been hurt by microtransactions, and it's the wrong time to have a game with microtransactions. It's released not that long ago.
Yep.
We've obviously got the huge fallout at the minute with regards to EA and Battlefront, and then there's just been big news, and even Ben, who is an avid NBA 2K gamer, has lost the will to live on NBA 2K18 already, I think, just purely because he knows that so many people, you can just buy your way to becoming the best player on it, and that's hurtful for someone that's like, as he's put so much time into him, and he's just not getting rewarded for it. I can understand why it's fallen down a little bit lower than perhaps it should have done.
And it seemed to be that they're quite brutal microtransactions as well. Like you hit a point where basically you now have to start paying money because you've hit a soft cap that you can realistically get to through playtime. So a real shame on that they're going that way.
Absolutely. Chappers then went in with Prey at number 6, which was an 80.77. Commercial flop, it seemed. But
don't see much of it, do you? It wasn't really advertised anywhere, and didn't see it as like being, when you go into your video game stores or whatever, that you'd see your top list or whatever. But it's really not done too well. It did much better on Xbox than it did on PS4.
Yes,
seemingly.
There was like a little bug that was on the PS4 version, I think, which was to do with frame skipping or frame pacing they had. So I don't know whether that might have brought it down a few pegs, but
impacted. But it did solid.
Oh yeah, it got a solid 80 in the end. But for Bethesda's games, outside of Fallout and Elder Scrolls, just don't seem to sell. We've had Dishonored 2 last year, which again, great reviews, sold like garbage. Then we have Prey, decent reviews, something a little bit new, sold like garbage. The Evil Within 2, decent reviews, sold like garbage. Wolfenstein, great reviews, selling not as good as the first one. I don't know what I don't know what's going on over there. They're making some great games and not getting.
I'm not too sure what they've got to do really to kind of get people on board. I mean, it's not. They're such a big name studio as well. It's not like they're one that can't be trusted. They don't particularly take you for a ride with regards to things like microtransactions or whatever. Like you say, they're making very good. They're evidently making good games, but I mean, don't get me wrong. That said, I haven't picked up any of these that we've just listed off. So I mean, maybe we're part of the problem.
Yeah, I mean that is it. There's so much going on that it can get lost in the shuffle, I guess. Biff, the final team member pick, come out with Tekken 7, which is an 82.14. A bit of a shrewd pick there. I didn't see that on too many people's rosters, so decent pick. And out of all the fighting games, I think it finished probably second to Injustice 2, which was an absolute barnstormer in terms of the reviews and for a fighting game. Then we had your 3 kind of personal picks to round it out in 8, 9 and 10, which was Halo Wars 2. That was a nice early pick, but didn't score particularly well with 74.77.
Yeah, a bit disappointed with that because, I mean, again, they're ones that aren't... They would never sort of super highly critically acclaimed, but the second one looked like it had a lot more to it than the first one did. Yeah. And yet, it really did not do well at all. Really did not perform at all. So, bit of a disappointment, to be honest.
No. Perhaps pick of the year at number 9, grabbing Horizon Zero Dawn, an 88.49. I mean, that is a tremendous pull that late on in the draft. My only assumption as the reason why it's not higher was my incessant poison saying I didn't trust Guerrilla Games to deliver the game that I thought they could in all the groups and maybe putting people off. But you took a punt on it and it ended up paying off. Yeah,
I mean, like you say, I think that concern that you had was definitely spreading within the group, and we weren't sure whether they were going to be able to pull off like a big open world with so much to it, but they evidently they smashed it, and that went down as, I know that was one that was played within our collective an awful lot. A lot of people got involved with it. I know that Chappers wasn't a huge fan, but I think otherwise pretty much everyone had nothing but positive things to say about it and were really impressed by it. So it did well. That great one to pick up at number 9, like you say.
Yeah, number 10, Ukulele. I thought this would score much higher than it did. It ended up on a 68.57. I think that's because the Switch port has recently come out and was dragging down the reviews a little bit because of performance. So, but disappointing because again, the former guys at Rare going off doing sort of a throwback, and yeah, didn't quite resonate as much as I thought it would.
Yeah, that was a bit of a passion pick for me. I was really hoping that it was going to be better than it was, and then when it released, and I watched quite a lot of the gameplay of it, I mean, I haven't bought it. I know Logan's got it and played it, and
Well, he's not finished it either, though.
He was having a bit of fun with it, but I think he's kind of lost the interest on it. It's definitely not the game that I was hoping it to be. So, but yeah, 68 point whatever it was is an awful lot lower than I was expecting. Put it that way.
Yeah, do we know what caused such a low score? Is there any standout criticisms on that one?
Well, looking at the stats, I mean, to be honest, the 68's a little bit too low from what it deserves, because the actual, in general, if I go through the platforms, 74.86, 72.22, and then a 67 on the PlayStation. But there's one rogue Nintendo Switch review, which is a 60, which has dragged it down considerably. So you're probably looking at a low 70 or a high 60, really. In reality. So I think that's.
Well, I mean, it's still 68 is high 60, I suppose. Sure.
Yeah. But the way game reviews tend to work, you'd think you'd have to do something really pretty atrocious to get down into the 60s, because normally even a bad game's like 70%.
Sort of low 60, low 70s, high 60s.
Really surprising that it's been trashed so badly, I suppose.
Yeah, well, when I looked the other day, speaking of Battlefront 2, that was down at 67.19. So that's, that's suffering.
And that's fraught with controversy.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's still coming out at a similar score to that. So
Ukulele, a sort of independent, good-willed, I think a lot of people wanted them to do well, and it just hasn't quite done as well as we thought. But that ended up being the 20 game roster. It was an attempted 20 game roster with 18 at present releasing, and Team Achievements took the championship quite easily in the end because of the two absentees. I took a look into the averages of all the scores. So on average, Team Achievement scored an 82.54. So the average game come out. So that's a pretty solid one. And the Marvelous Thunderbuzzers was 81.88. So pretty close generally. Just a few. I think really Zelda's helped out massively with
it's bumped up the scores quite substantially, hasn't it?
Yeah, with Team Achievement. So, but yeah, that's how it ended, and that's how it will go down in the record books. Now, before we leave, there is a little bit of business I need to settle, and this is completely unofficial off the books because no one had any idea I was going to go out and do this. But essentially, what I did was done an individual draw with all the people left, so all the team members. So myself, Adkins, Logan, Chappers, Paper, Biff. I used the order that you guys picked in. So I was first, Adkins was second, Logan, Chappers, Paper, Biff, and then pulled out the games from the list of 15 that they gave me, and then put together a squad of 6 I managed to get for everyone before we'd run out of games. And the reason why I done that was because what I wanted to do was define who was going to be the next captain for next year. So winner stays on. So Hall he probably doesn't want to come back and defend his title, but he's going to have to because he's won. Dave will step down and someone will take his place. So I was hoping that someone would come forth and provide me that. But it ended up being that I'd won it again. So,
what a surprise.
Yeah, well, I did not. I've got all
I've
the
come
stats
up with a new system and I've won.
Yeah, it's the same system. It's just, the one that won it for me, and this is the kicker, was Mario Odyssey. No one else had it on any of the games. Any of the lists that I saw, that was not on any of them. It was number 15 on mine, and that was my very last pick that got in. And I ended up with 496.5, and Paper, so close, but not quite, ended up with 493.5, so just 3 points in it. I had Mass Effect Andromeda, Persona 5, For Honor, Ukulele, Neo with a high 80s, and then Mario Odyssey at 97. Yeah. Paper had Mario Kart Deluxe, Splatoon 2, Halo Wars 2, Sonic Mania, which done surprisingly well, South Park: The Fractured But
87.
Whole. Yep, and then Pooch and Yoshi's Woolly World. I don't know what he was thinking there. That's
Did fucking
you
trash
can't even with Ukulele in your lists.
Yeah, pretty. Yeah, that. Yes, it wasn't far off.
Paper had that fucking bag of shit. Yoshi's Woolly World costed him. I'm guessing someone else got costed by Red Dead.
Yeah, so Chappers and Logan finished last. Might as well put that out there. He had Red Dead Redemption, FIFA, Call of Duty, Horizon, but he had Days Gone and God of War. So not a month in Sundays. That's coming out.
No.
Yeah, so that's unofficial, off the books, and it hasn't quite yielded the response or what I needed from that. So we'll think of another way to get a new captain. I've got an idea in my head already, which I will share when we get closer to the time. Quickly before we go, I did just want to run through some of the games that we missed off the draft completely that did score well. First up being What Remains of Edith Finch, which I have purchased in the recent Xbox Black Friday sales, so I'll be playing through that and putting a review up at some point. But that got a whopping 89.52, which is very high for what is considered a walking simulator. Next up was Neo.
Doing well at the Game Awards as well. Sorry, interrupting, but Edith Finch looks like it's going to do well at the Game Awards as well. It's got a lot of nominations.
Yeah, it's one of those...
Kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely did. It just appeared, and then there you know, there's nearly a 90 on your doorstep. Neo, which I had on my personal pick, but lower down, that got an 88.75. Nier Automata, or I don't know how you do that, I'll say Automata, 88.74. Next Machina, Death Machine, 88.62. And then you kind of go a bit further down, you've got the Wolfenstein 2s of the world, the Injustice 2s. Probably my most surprising pick, though, this is in the top sort of 12 to 15. F1 2017, 87.65. That's a candidate for a low 70 in my view, and it's got an incredible score there.
Surprising.
Yeah, I mean, I've got it, and it is good. It's enjoyable, but I don't know if that's down to the change in the cars for 2017, making them more fun to drive, whether the game's got any better.
Yeah, you'd think for a yearly title that's going to have a lot of the same tracks as the previous one, a lot of the same drivers and teams, it's surely not going to have enough variation to score highly, but that's impressive.
Yeah, it's done well. Well, that was it. That will draw to a close the 2017 edition of the Fantasy Gaming Draft. We will be back in 2018, and I think we're going to tweak the rules ever so slightly, or maybe go for a different approach to try and keep it competitive until the end, but we will share those details with you when we are ready. Dave, I'll let you, if you've got any final words to shout out about the overall year, whether you've enjoyed it, and then we'll move on to Hall, get the last laugh, unfortunately.
I have enjoyed it. It's been a lot of pressure, a lot of abuse as well. But congratulations to Josh's team, because that was a resounding victory and quite a lot of good picks in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Hall, any last words to gloat, and I'll let you close it down if you want. That can be your little reward for being the winning captain for 2017.
No, it's just well done to the team. I'd like to thank my parents and everyone that's supported me over the past year or so, of which there's not been many people. So commiserations to the losing team. You were shit, and I'll see you all next year. Thanks for listening.
Everyone, thanks so much for your time, and ta-da.